Hey guys, Craig from Accelerate Auto Electrics and Off-Grid Touring here today, and today we're actually going to do a bit of an informative, instructional video on how to use the GME XRS radios and all their features. We've spoken about them heaps in all of our other videos, and a question we get asked a lot is, how do you program all these features in? Well, today we are going to show you exactly how to do that. First thing you're going to want to do is obviously turn the UHF on. Plug it in, turn it on so it's on, and that's all you have to do with this one. From here, on your phone, you're going to want to download this XRS Connect App. It's a free app just on the App Store if you have an Apple, or the Google Play Store if you have an Android. This will open up. Yours probably show a much wider map of Australia. We've just obviously zoomed right into where we are. Some of the main features of this that we're going to be running through today. So we're not going to run through all the nitty gritty, super technical stuff because it'll probably put you to sleep, but we are going to walk you through how to program all the really useful stuff that makes your life a bit nicer in these. So some of these things include an active playback feature, so that if you miss the transmissions that someone's made, you can hit a button and it'll replay it back to you up to a few minutes back. And another really handy feature is like the active mute. So what that does, if you're got your radio and you make a phone call or someone calls your phone, it'll actually mute the handset, the microphone on this, or reduce the volume, whichever you prefer, so that you can obviously make your phone call without being interrupted. The other really handy thing that we're going to run through as well is to program the buttons on how you want them to work. So they've actually got a few different buttons you can program to do different things when you press or hold them, like change the squelch and the likes of. So let's get started, and we will show you how it's done. So once you download the app, you open it up. Like I said before, you'll be met with a screen which will just show like a general overview of a map and this heading here. So what you're going to want to do, first of all, run through location services stuff later, but for now we'll just go through these settings. So what you're going to want to do is hit these three little bars up the top here, if they open. And then from here, these are all your settings and how you get into the radio. So the first thing you're going to want to do is go into radios. Here we go. So this will be the screen you actually met with when you go into radios, which we'll need to do to log in. So hit radios, and then you'll have all the nearby XRS radios within Bluetooth range to the phone. So the one that we want to connect to is this top one. We've already connected to it before, hence it doesn't say new. Any ones you haven't connected to previously are down here. So obviously we don't want that one, we want to go onto this one. So log into here. Before we can change any settings or alter anything, we need to do essentially a read from the radio. So that tells the phone what settings are already in the handpiece. So if we go read radio up the top here, fabulous, and just like that we can now modify the settings and all the features within the radio. First things first, probably what you're going to want to do, so it's easy for you to find your radio next time, is change the name. So we can just rename the XRS radio here. So rename it whatever you please. So let's just go, this one's in the 300 series, so let's just call it 300 series. Makes that nice and easy. And then, so once it's read the radio, you can now adjust the settings. So from here, we will go into the settings button, this big cog. Awesome. And then from here, we have everything. So what we're going to go through first is radio settings. So we'll just click into here, and then you have all the different, subsections of things we can program. The first thing, and probably the most interesting thing, hence we'll do it first, is these XRS features. So if we go into here, scroll all the way down to the bottom, XRS features, here we go here. So top one, location share, enabling location share. What this does, I'll run through in more detail in a bit, is if you're within, receiving distance or transmitting distance of another user with an XRS and they've set theirs up as well, it'll actually drop a pin on a map every time they make a transmission. So if you're forward driving with a bunch of mates and you have that one mate that always goes rogue and wanders off, and you know what I'm talking about, if they have an XRS and they have this turned on, you can find them. So you can go back and track them down and see why their Land Cruiser has broken down. So what we'll do here, that's turned on, so we can show you that. That's all pretty much standard. It's just saying essentially that it's running through GPS, which is what we want. The features that we actually want to look at, and probably my personal favorite feature, is this voice playback feature. So what we'll do now is we'll go ahead and turn that on. And like I said before, that allows the radio to hold that short-term memory that if someone makes that transmission. So I'll go ahead in a bit and I'll show you that feature working. Here we go. Okay, and then from here as well, one of the other XRS features is of course the active mute, which is also another one of my favorite settings in these things. So active mute, like I said before, when you make a phone call or receive a phone call through your phone, because there's Bluetooth to it, it will mute this. Now you can actually change whether it just lowers the volume or whether it actually fully mutes it. Yeah, entirely up to you, whatever you prefer. For this one, we'll just go 75%. Here we got voice playback turned on and the active mute set to full mute so that it completely mutes. When we make a phone call, mutes our phone if someone tries to talk to us through here. Cool, now that that's all set, what we will do is go back here and we'll program the buttons. So once you've got the voice playback enabled, it's good because it's enabled, but you don't, like, there's nothing programmed on the buttons to trigger it. So what you want to do then is go into programmable buttons, and then you've got all of these different buttons on here that you can program to do different things. So the way I normally set mine up is so that top button press, which is this little button here, that controls the voice playback. The top button hold can be whatever you want, but I normally program it so that does your auto scan, if that makes sense, if you want to. And XRS button press, which is this one here, you can program. You can make it change between zone to zone. You can make it control your squelch settings, whatever you want. And same deal, long press hold, you can program that. So, but for today's episode or purpose, we're gonna just change this one. So top button press, we're going to make that do our voice playback. Top button hold, we will make it do the squelch level. XRS button, we can just make it go, oh, let's put it as display dim. So if you want to dim your display, it's night time, it's too bright, you can make it dim down. And then XRS button hold, we can just make that change zones, so it'll be easier. Cool. So from there, we can go back, and that's that. So there's a few other little settings on here you can change as well. Mainly being auto powered down. So if you do have like your radio set on a constant power source rather than ignition like most people, you can program in how long you want it to power down. So you can turn that on and you can make it time out after it being on for X amount of time if you wish. And then all your other little niggly settings, little user interface settings. So your brightness, you don't like it being too bright or you want it brighter. Your beep volume, I think everyone I know hates the beeping on these, so you can crank it down to 2 or off if you want to. Display options, so up in this little top corner, you can actually program it to go from like a signal meter to battery voltage if you want to. Doesn't really make any difference, but it's just all customizable settings. Speaker, so if you have the XRS 370 like this one, you can actually select the microphone only speaker or the speaker in the chassis itself. Radio operation, all pretty basic stuff. Something I do like to change is a priority channel. So at the moment this is set to channel 1. Typically, I set this to channel 40 because obviously channel 40 is the main channel, which is the road channel, I guess, 18 or 40. So this allows you to essentially just hit this priority button on the microphone, and that will take you straight to that channel. So no matter what channel you're on, or if you're in a scan or whatever, you hit the priority button, it's going to jump straight to that channel. So squelch level is adjustable through here, but you can also adjust it through here now. We've changed the settings. That just adjusts essentially the static. So it just, in a way, I guess it almost cuts back range so that you're not receiving those further away poor quality signals. Somewhere in the middle, 3 or 4 is normally a good place to sort of have it, but you can play around as you like. Another thing you can program in these is all of your scan settings. So these are highly programmable. Like I said, 9% of the features you're probably never going to use, but scanning is one of them. So you can click into scanning. What you can do, so let's just say you only want to flick between, say, the normal road channels and the emergency channels. So like your 5, 35, 18 is the other caravanny channel, and channel 40, which is the main road one. You can actually program in so none of the other channels, or the other random channels, cycle through, and they're the only ones it flicks between. So you're not getting Joe Blow working on a fence out west somewhere that's just telling old mate to drop the roller wire off or something stupid and irrelevant. You're just getting the channels you want through the scan settings. So I'll run through that in a second. Everything on here is pretty much just programming the main scanning channels. If you want to actually change the channels and how they scan, you go into your CV channels, and you can see here you have all the channels from CB1 through to CB80. So they're all your 80 channels. And so essentially what you can do there is you can go, I only want to view the ones that are on scan channel A, which is the main scan channel. You program, and you can actually individually turn all them off. All the ones you don't want to have come up on your main scan. Now for the controversial part of the video. What we can do as well with these is in your zones, you can program in a heap of scan only channels, if that makes sense, so receive only channels. So a lot of companies, corporations, emergency services, those type of guys have their own radio frequencies they operate on. And what you can do is actually program them into your radio. Obviously legality around this differs, and obviously if you're invading on someone's privacy, then it's probably not a good thing to be doing, but I'll show you how you can do that in case you need to. Now I will stress, you can't transmit on these channels, so you can't interfere with someone on the Kmart internal radio channel and tell them to dump a pallet off into your ute, because that's not going to happen. You can only listen in, you can't receive. How to do that is go into your zones, so you can customize all the zones. So zones are essentially, I guess, areas. So you can program in, let's just say you work in one area, so you'll program in a heap of receive-only channels for one area, and then you go to another area out west and they've got different radio channels. You can program in as zones. So that's what the zones are. Zone 1, nothing's programmed yet. You can rename the zones too, to the towns or whatever if you want. And then you have that here. So what we can do is go add, little add button on the top, receive only channels. You can either create your own channel if you already have the frequency, or you can import one from GME's list of known Australian channels. So import here. I've reset this, so yours won't come up with channels standard, but what you'll have to do is click on the little location button, punch in where you are. We're obviously Maroochydore, so Queensland, Maroochydore, distance within 5Ks, you can make it 20Ks, 100Ks, whatever. And then actually I'll bring it back down to 10Ks so we're not getting a million things. And go search for channels, it'll bring it up there. So what we have here, and what we can actually program into that zone, is all of these. So we've got everything from Aldi to Baby Bunting to Coles, all the things there. So obviously if you're not supposed to be in there, guys, don't get in there, don't listen on stuff you're not supposed to be. You'll find a lot of these channels are probably blank anyway, but this is has a full list, a lot of your emergency services stuff, so you know, fire, not so much police anymore, but some fireys, ambulance, hospitals, cabs, if you want to listen in on the cabbies, council, that sort of stuff there. So all those lists are there. If you want to import all of them, what you can do is just go select all, and just go back, and then they'll all be there in zone 1. So we can just call this one, let's say Maroochydore. So now we've shown you how to program these in. What we're now going to do is, so it's saved our configuration on here. We now need to transfer it back to the radio. So if we go here, back to radio configuration, select the one we were just on, which will be this one here, and just need to save it. Then you go to radios, and then need to write it to radio. And you see here it says transferring to radio. So that's now programming, actually uploading all those settings we've just made to the radio from what we've programmed on the phone. So what we're going to do now, guys, now that all of the programming's been uploaded to the unit, I'm going to show you that active voice playback feature. So I'll just ask for someone nearby to say something, and I'll show you it recording. Hello, is anyone there?
Hello, Craig. Patrols suck and lane cruisers are the best.
I don't want to hear that again, but for the purpose of this, I'll replay it so you can see. So now if I hit this top button.
Hello, Craig. Patrols suck and lane cruisers are the best.
And there you see, it works. And now they can work for a couple of transmissions, so I'll reply back to her and say, I'm sorry, but you know patrols are the best. And then she'll say,
you're a liar.
But then what I can do is I hit this button twice and it'll actually go back to the first one she said.
You're a liar. Hello, Craig.
Playback 2.
Patrols suck and lane cruisers are the best.
And then we'll play the last
You're
one.
a liar.
And there you have it. Active playback, how good? So now I've shown you the active, the voice playback feature of these. I'll just show you like some of the stuff that we've programmed in, obviously. So what we've done here is obviously the zone. So we renamed the zone Maroochydore. So you can see that here, that it's changed the name of the zone on the screen. And then from here, we can go into those receive only channels that we programmed in before. So you can see here, there's the Woolworths, Underwater World, all these ones that are there. Some of the other settings we programmed in was the XRS button short press to change for the zones. Obviously it's on zone 1, which is Maroochydore at the moment. If we want to dim the screen, we program the long press of the XRS button to dim the screen. If we hold that in, you can see there it says dim, and it's dimmed that screen right down so it's not so in your face at night time. If you want to take it back to normal, long press that in there. So now what I'm going to do is show you through the location services. Just a real quick overview so you get the rough idea. Whole idea is, like I said before, you're traveling in a group of some mates and you miss, or someone's gone walkabouts, they've gone missing, you can't find them, but they're still on radio and you want to find them. What you can do, providing they have service and obviously their phone with them, every time they transmit, we'll drop a pin on a map so you can find them. So what we're going to do now is going to get Claudia in the other Hilux to talk to us, and it'll come up with their handle so you can set your name and your status, I guess, if you like, so you can view all that information. So we'll get her to talk, and you should see a little pin come up on this map which will show where she is.
Looking good in that Land Cruiser, Craig.
Oh, allow that. There we go. And it's come up, and we can now see a little pin on the map there. Now that will come up with her username once it's set. But you can see here, drop the pin and there it is. And likewise now too, if I talk, it will come up on hers. I'd look better in a patrol, Claudia.
No, I wouldn't.
Thanks again for watching, guys. If you're still sticking with us, I really appreciate it. I just wanted to really get across just how good these UHFs are and just how well you can program them to your individual needs. They're an Australian-made product, which is really awesome. Australian-owned company, so I can't stress enough how important it is to support Aussie-made where we can, obviously. But they really are just a fantastic UHF, and you really can make the most out of these. They do so much more than just basic communication, guys. So get around it. if you have one, download the app, get in, start playing, give it a crack. You can't mess it up. If you program settings and you can't make it work anymore, just hit the factory reset button and it'll all go back to standard and you can start playing all over again. Once you start using these features, you won't go back. They're just really, really, really handy. But thanks for watching, guys. If you have any questions, make sure you drop them in the comment section down below. Shoot us a like and a subscribe, and check out some of our other builds up here, and YouTube reckons you should watch this.